coffee, and this is the the HR Pro live podcast. I'm streaming to you on Instagram. No, not Instagram. That's the one thing I'm not live streaming to. LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. Yes. Today is Monday. Oh, we're a few weeks behind on our Monday HR Madness shows. But I'm here now. I'm here today. I'm here to talk about anything and everything HR. That's human resources. For anyone who's not sure what HR is, I am actually a minute or two early. I tend to come on at 11:33 for some bizarre reason. And this week, the program I use to stream to all those different locations is called Restream.io. It's got some Halloween themes, man. So I used a Halloween font. You can see my name down there in a Halloween font. And you can see all my links, QR code up in the top corner. That's in a Halloween font. And they also have Halloween music. So I don't know how long this is going to last. I think all week I will use the font and we'll listen to Halloween music just to scare ourselves just a little bit. Oh, excuse me. If you go to the QR code in the top right hand corner, that's all my links. It's all my important stuff. If you want to book a meeting with me, if you want to purchase my little ebook to help you reduce staff drama, that's all there. That QR code takes you to this link on the screen, Linktree. So linktr.ee at IanTheHRPro, and that has everything, absolutely everything I do in there. Oh, Earl Grey tea. So I'm going to hide that again. Anyway, today is HR. We're going to talk HR, all things. If you have a question and help me direct the show, giving me direction, and we'll go in that direction, ask your questions in the comments right now. Depending on how you are connecting to this live show right now, it might be a little bit delayed before I see your question in the chat, but I will make sure I try to get to everyone's question. And you can also try to comment on this afterwards, and I will try to answer your question in the comments. Big yawn. I am bored of you already. No, just kidding. Well, maybe you're bored of me. Because I have nothing to talk about today. I hope someone asks me a question and I can answer your questions. For the first time in a long while, I actually posted a real video on YouTube, not just my lives and the clips that Restream creates for me from each live. So I actually posted a video. That video is called, what the heck is it called? It's called Why Do Employees Form Unions? And I'll put that, I'll create a QR code for that. No, what am I? QR code, a link. I don't know what to put in. Let's just do a QR code. Why do employees form unions? Oh, too long. All right. See if I can do that. Oh, dude, that's in the wrong spot. Wrong spot. Wrong spot. I wanted to add it down here. Ah, completely wrong spot. Good job. Good job, Ian. Good job. Sometimes the Restream.io likes to defeat me. Whoa, I accidentally went into that video. So let's go back here. Let's create that primary text. I can upload an image if I want to. Yeah, so I wrote the script for this video early last week, and I didn't get a chance to record and edit it until yesterday, Sunday. So yes, I was working on a Sunday. When you're a small business owner, you tend to work on Sundays. And what am I missing here? Yes. I created the link. This is the link to yesterday's video. Why do employees form unions? You can scan that QR code, or it should show up in the chat on most of these platforms, most of the social platforms. If not, too bad. Just go search my name on YouTube and you'll be able to find me. Anyway, if you want to watch that, that's the link there. I'm thinking my next video might be about hiring your first employee as a small business owner. Because I do get that question, or I get a lot of people asking me to support them in their job hiring, in their recruitment process. I'm not exactly a recruiter. I can do recruitment, but I don't enjoy that side of HR. I'd rather support small businesses in other ways. But I think with hiring your first employee, I think it's important that you kind of have a few things organized, ready to go, and what your plan is. Because that first employee is either gonna make you or break you, might be somewhere in between. I would not count on your first hire to stay with the company forever, because it's your first hire. It takes you time to become a boss, become a supervisor, become the owner that can encourage and build a healthy work environment. It takes time. And I have seen organizations hire the wrong people first. Like, the owner is thinking, I'm going to hire someone to do all the back end work for me. So, yes, you as the single owner, all of a sudden there's a whole bunch of work that you're not doing, the busy work type stuff. But you now have this extra liability that you're paying. You're paying for this person. And that forces you to double down on making the money. And I think the biggest thing a new owner can do, a new manager, right? The first time they're hiring someone is to hire someone in the sales role, right? Because you need to duplicate yourself the sales work. If you can get one or two salespeople in a place and you keep and you're trying to basically fulfill whatever service or order, then that's different, because you're also continuing to try to make your sales. But if you're concentrating on just people making sales for you, then that's a good place to be. Now, there's just different ways of doing this, but I certainly want to concentrate in my next video on the kind of the steps to prepare you and the reasoning behind what type of employee you should hire first. Naturally, it's different with every business, and naturally someone's going to say, oh, that doesn't apply to my industry. It might could. I don't know. Is this Halloween music too scary for some of you? Too scary? I'm gonna get rid of that now. Get that off the screen. Let me know in the chat if the music is scaring you and you want me to change it to something scarier. So, anyway. Let's go to the blog. Let's see. Let's go to the blog and let's go to the mall. No, let's not go to the mall. I've got lots of things to talk about with HR. It's just hard to talk about things when you don't know what the heck you should be talking about. So I'm gonna go to the blog. Why is it my blog isn't? There we go. That's a little better. Open tab and new window. So I think going to the blog is a good idea. And let us know what's going on. I'm leaving the chat open here. Hopefully, if someone wants to ask a question about HR, do it. Do it. It's not scary. Maybe it's a little scary. It's Halloween music. Yeah, here, I'm going to share my screen. And I'm just going to wander through my blog a little bit. I think there's one post I'm thinking of that might be useful. See, it's been a while since I wrote a blog. Is your workplace culture thriving or surviving? This is actually also a video on YouTube. And I've got a series of videos in this topic, and my plan is to flesh them all out into an actual blog. Pay inequality, rethinking bereavement leave, is a work situation about work-life balance, performance, or discipline. You know, we have a lot of small business owners. They're concerned is people coming into work and they're just so worried about the person missing hours or whatever, or you're worried about paying OT and all this sort of stuff, right? Like, so that's something to talk about. Why does everyone hate HR? Oh, addressing mental health in the workplace. The art of the pizza party at work. Oh, this is a fun article. You gotta go check it out. This is all on my blog. You just go to my blog. What's the page? Go see all my articles on my blog. I will create a little QR code for my blog. Also, Ian's blog. Create that. and you guys can easily link on it. There's Ian's blog up on the screen right now, the QR code. I'll leave it up there for a little bit, but that takes you to this page I'm rolling through right now. Supporting high potential employees. So often we leave our good employees to their own devices. We don't nurture them the way we should be. These people, they seem low maintenance, but by you treating them as low maintenance, they leave. They don't feel welcome. So that's your high potential employees. If you see somebody who is smart, quick, and getting things done and trying to help everybody around them, you got to watch them, because that's your rock star. The role of the HR manager, too often I've been in a situation where people seem to think the HR manager manages all the employees within the organization. The HR manager only manages the HR department. There's no they expect HR to be the cop of the organization, and the HR manager is just busy trying to manage the HR department. If you have the word manager in your name, you manage people. You don't manage a task or a portfolio. You manage people. Use the word manager sparingly, and only where someone actually manages people. I mean, if you got someone doing HR in your organization, and all they do is do HR, actual HR work, they're the HR advisor, they're the HR generalist, they're the HR consultant, they're the HR business partner. Those are the names for your HR person, not HR manager. As soon as you say HR manager, they don't do HR. They get things escalated to them if there's an issue that the HR advisor can't solve, right? And that's about it. Other than that, they're managing their department. Employer rights in Alberta, Canada. So it's no surprise. I live in Alberta, Canada, so I'm an expert in Alberta, Canada stuff. Let's go back to page 6. Let's see what the oldest job search tips for Albertans updated for 2023. Oh, that's an old. It originally posted in 2020. So there's a lot of COVID stuff. Let's look at page 5. That's my oldest article. So, how to fire someone correctly. I've been in situations where the manager, the supervisor comes to me and says, Ian, I want to fire this person. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there as the HR advisor. I haven't heard anything about this. So let's start making sure we're tracking it, right? And the supervisor is like, no, let's just get him fired. I'm like, why? There's been no complaints. There's been no reports from you. There's no evidence that this person is a bad employee. You've got to make sure things are reported properly. And I've worked for organizations where every year my employee review was satisfactory or better. Great, I'm doing the job. But then the manager is coming to me and saying, oh, we're thinking of putting you on a PIP, Performance Improvement Plan, PIP. And I'm like, why? It's always been satisfactory. I mean, if I had an annual review that said, oh, he's very lacking in this, and this has gotten worse since last year, or something like that, yeah, I could see, yeah, put me on the PIP, do it. But when my reviews have been basically good for 3-4 years, why am I suddenly on the PIP, right? Like, all this documentation has to be in here. And that's why I'm a big fan of simpler, easier reviews more often. So when I worked for the federal government, during employee review season, all our supervisors were like doing like overtime and just going nuts trying to get their performance reviews done. I kid you not, it was like a 10-page document that they had to fill out. Oh, excuse me. Excuse me again. Just thinking about that document, I'm like, I don't want to be a supervisor within the government. If I need to fill out this massive document every year for my employees, I think they've gone too far, too deep. I mean, absolutely cut that in half for sure. But how about we do a yearly or a monthly review? Now you're thinking, oh my God, it's that massive review. No, I'm saying like half a page, 4 or 5 questions. We can quantify them and give them a percentage. Oh, you did 85 this time. Last month you were at 80. I see improvement. Thank you. Or last month you were at 85. We like that. This month you messed up. You're only at 60. So let's work on it. How can I help you? Right. This is particularly good for an organization like construction company. You have the foremen who are on site. They have their crew. They have their different crew bosses, whatever. And if you set this up right, if you have, say, a team of 8 to 10 in your organization, or in your teams are like 8 to 10, and they shouldn't be larger than that, but that supervisor, that crew boss, that foreman, they fill out one performance review a week. It takes them about 5 minutes or less, and they just fill one out a week on a different employee. So every 8 to 10 weeks, that employee gets another review, and it's ongoing. So you can see the year, the aggregate, because the problem with the yearly performance review is at the start of the year, I may be a rock star. And for 3 to 6 months, nobody can touch me. I'm amazing. I'm doing awesome. But then for the last 6 months of the year, or the last 3 months, or the last month even, I messed up. I did some stuff wrong. I'm scrambling to try to relearn something and fix something, or whatever, something happened. My next review has a high chance of not being fair to me. At the start of the year, I was a rock star. At the end of the year, I started to have trouble. And that is what is going to be most recent in the mind of the supervisor that is filling out the yearly review. So last year they might have got a good review. This year they're getting a bad review, even though for more than half the year that person was a rock star. You see that bias comes in. But if we were able to see, 6 to 12 reviews across the last 6 to 12 months, then we see that it was really high at the start of the year. Maybe it's just really low in the last 2 months or something like that. Then we see that this isn't a bad employee. This is just an employee having some issues right now. And if you are reviewing your employees more often, you have the opportunity to go to them and say, how can I help? How can we improve this? What's wrong? What supports do you need? Right? And that's what a good supervisor, manager does. Constantly checking out for their team and trying to make the team better. It's about support, training, mentoring, all the good stuff. That's what we're looking for. What are we looking at? Next one. Does my business have to follow minimum government legislation? Now, I wrote this because I saw comments and people asked me questions. Yes, you have to follow the minimum government legislation. And it's always changing, so it's always something that you got to keep up on. If you have an HR person or an HR department, they are doing that. And every now and again, they'll come to you as the manager or the owner and say, look, this changed. This is how we're going to change it within our organization, right? That's their job. All right. Oh, what is the role of human resources? I love this blog post. I love this chart I created. Basically, you have 3 distinct groups within your organization. You have HR. This is the HR department. This is everybody who's in HR. They are basically above and separate from the rest of the employees. That's why in union environments, HR is opted out and they don't pay union dues. HR has an interesting role to support both the employees and the owners and management. They're kind of the glue between the 2 main bodies of the organization. So, of course, we have the owners and managers. And then we have the rest of the employees, every other employee that's not HR and not an owner or manager. A lot of times, foremen and supervisors, they're part of the employee groups, but they're team leads, they're crew bosses, right? Their main goal is to make sure their team gets the work done and helps management identify where there might be some issues. And that's about it, right? It's just all about getting the work done. So they're considered regular employees. It's the managers and owners that have a different responsibility. Oh my God, another big yawn. Oh, someone put something in the chat. Whoa, that's early. Twitch, spammer, troll. Yes. Yes, thank you for adding some comments, some action to my live stream on Twitch. It never fails. Since I started streaming on Twitch, there's always some sort of spammer. And it's usually best viewers, streamboo.com. Oh, streamboo.com. I wouldn't go there. I would advise you not to go there because their tactic is to go on to another big giant streaming site like Twitch and spam the hell out of it to get people to go to their new website, streamboo.com. Do you really think you're going to outstream Twitch? The only place that's doing better is probably YouTube. And YouTube's a monster. You're not going to catch up to YouTube in any which way, shape, or form. So, Streamboo, thumbs down. But thank you for the comment. Yeah, that's some good action right there. All right. So I just kind of want to go through this image a little bit the role of human resources. So obviously we have 3 circles, typical intersection on what has to get done. But we think about the green arrows, and I call this the path of learning. So human resources is teaching owners and managers, and they are teaching employees. Owners and managers, they're the advisor and leadership training. So when there's something going on, it is HR's job to help teach the owner and manager on how to handle it. HR shouldn't handle the regular day-to-day issues. HR will handle anything that's been escalated, and there basically needs to be a mediator or something like that, right? If you end up in a disciplinary situation in the HR department, that's pretty bad. Okay, you've already blown through your supervisor and your manager and maybe the owner of the company, and now you're sitting in HR with everybody trying to figure it out. That's not good. It's also an indication that maybe your HR isn't properly advising or training your owners and managers, or the owners and managers aren't listening properly to HR. Hi, Joy. Hi, Joy. This is my sister. Here's her comment. Hi. See her name in scary Halloween font. Anyway, my biggest fan, my big sister, thank you for watching the show. And so we follow these green arrows. Owners and managers, their job is to be leadership and give hard skills training to the employees. So it's the visionary for the employees, it's the mentorship for the employees, it's the hard skills training. This is how you use this thing, and this is how you do your job. And it's like, let's follow this checklist on how to do your work, and things like that. Like it's the person who sits with you, training with you as you learn the new job, and it is the leadership that gives you direction, and you know how you fit into the organization as the employee. And HR is also doing training. They support employees, obviously, but they're also do the soft skills training. So HR doesn't teach you specifically how to do your job. HR will put on like a sales training workshop, right? It's more general. Anyone in the sales side of the organization can join up to this workshop and learn something new. Or we're teaching you the equity, diversity, and inclusion stuff. So maybe HR is putting on the Kairos blanket exercise like I would do if I was in an organization, right? It's a more general training. It's not, this is how you should be doing your job. It's not how you do your job in that program. It's the general, here's a new program, here's a general overview, right? Like it's very more general when the HR is helping employees. That's the green arrows. That's the path of learning. So the blue arrows, the path to feedback. So you can see all 3 major groups in an organization: human resources, owners and managers, and the employees all give feedback to the center. This is where everybody meets up. This is where we feedback, we plan, brainstorm, create, unite, strategize, culture and team building. All this stuff is in the center where we all do the input, and every part of it is important. The employees that are front lines, they know the clients, they know the customers, they know what's going on in the organization, so they need to put that input. Human resources knows the legislation and kind of the laws and stuff like that too, regulatory issues, whatever, right? That all comes in. And of course HR is also trying to create an awesome environment to work in, so that is getting put in. And owners and managers, they've got all the data of how the organization is doing. They've got the sales numbers, they got the overhead costs, they've decided on a direction and a vision for the future. And now all three groups are saying, with all this, how do we move forward? How do we create the next step? Or where can we improve to improve the whole organization? And that's the feedback. You've got to be getting feedback. If you're not getting feedback from all different groups, you're not going to grow properly. Tea time. So we look at the orange arrows. The orange arrows are the path of growth. So after you take all that feedback and create something new or improve something, it then goes out to the different trainings that's being done. So HR will now train employees differently. HR will now advise and give leadership training differently to all the managers and the owner. And this will also affect how managers and owners will be training employees, so it improves the leadership and the hard skills training. New things are being identified daily. So now all these places where the support actually happens gets improved. And this is more of a gradual thing. Every time something new is identified that's a problem, we get together with the feedback and we try to fix it, and then we change for the future. And this constant improvement of the training and the leadership and the advising, it allows the organization to bring on a new employee, bring on a new manager, and they're up to date. They've got the newest training and the newest data and feedback or whatever, right? So it allows us to grow without having to restart. We got a new employee. They're not starting from the bottom. They've got all this training that that should be able to be there for them. Sorry, my lips are dry. Everything's dry. My throat is dry. What's this? Let's see. Does that sound good in here? I don't know what's going on here. I got some Bliss sticks here. Unfortunately, it's sunscreen lip protection. Do I need I definitely don't need sunscreen. It's a dark and cloudy day. Listening to our Halloween music. I'm going to open it up because I need something. I need something on my lips. Everybody turn away. This might be too sexy for the show. That's really slimy. That was probably a bad idea. It feels moist now, but it really does feel like sunblock. FPF 30. As an indigenous person, I point a lot with my lips, so this is probably a good idea because my lips are out there. Over there, over there, over there. So, yeah, maybe it's good. Maybe it's good. Let's move on. Let's see this next box. My employee's angry at me. A lot of my blogs are designed to help and support my eyes, my sister says. Nah, I'm not lying. She just commented that. Oh my God. Moist. He said moist. Very moist. Moist is such a gross and dirty word. So I will not say moist anymore on the show, because moist is not something that really, when you think of HR, moist is not the word. So have a good moist day. My employees are angry at me. So basically, if your employee is angry at you, it's probably your fault. Just figure out what it is. That's what that one's all about. Oh my God, look at that guy. Why is my employee a low performer? Man, I should change that image. Oh my. Another busy video call. Again, this kind of comes from the fact that we are not properly training our employees. I've been in organizations where managers are coming to me, this person is terrible and they're not doing their job. And the first thing I ask, well, how much time are you spending training them? And they're like, we trained them when they first got hired. They're not doing their job anymore. You need to keep training your employees. You need to keep it up. The constant training is vital to someone feeling an employee, like an employee is feeling loved, liked, cared for, trusted. Like if you have a good employee, if you have any employee, you find out where they're lacking and you constantly try to improve it. And that's where a monthly employee review or quarterly employee review is going to help. It's going to help because it lets you constantly identify an employee who's struggling, or maybe there's certain areas that an employee needs additional training, right? So it's a feedback loop. It's a flywheel, right? The employee review gives us feedback so that we can support that employee. And it's not about punishing the employee. It's about supporting them. It really is. Every time an employee is struggling, you need to train them. You need to support them in some way. So that's the big thing about low performers. Just keep training. And if they don't get it or they don't improve, you need to make sure you continue reporting on this, because when you turn around and finally go to HR and say, we're going to fire this guy, HR had better see 6 months to a year of documented issues, not necessarily issues, but you training them as the supervisor or the manager. How have you supported this person, and did they improve after you supported them? Okay, there's an opportunity there that a supervisor or manager is not very effective at training. But that's where HR comes in and says, hey, as the manager, your job is to constantly train and develop and improve your team members. So what are you doing? And what kind of support do you need from HR to make you a more effective trainer or leader? Normally, you got low performers because you got low performing managers and owners. My employee committed suicide. It's such a hard spot. We remember that if you get fired or you die, organizations can just replace you. We are never that important to an organization. Like, that organization isn't going to crumble to the ground if you leave or if you pass away. But the mental impacts of knowing that the person that was sitting beside you, working with you day in, day out for the last 5 years, committed suicide, right? That's a tough thing, because this is your coworker. This is someone you may have liked, and even if you hated them, your body gets used to someone being around. And this was the fixture that was part of your life. So making sure managers and owners can deal with that situation is important. And I don't know, it's going to take weeks or months for people to start recovering from this situation, this realization. And I always advise, get the mental health supports. I am not a mental health professional. I can't help you with that, but I can direct you and say, use the resources that are there, whether it's free government resources or if it's employee benefit resources. Remind your employees that they're there, and kind of have this little cheat sheet put together. I would say somewhere, maybe within HR, you should have a binder that says bad things, because bad things happen. So if you can, basically you're creating a standard operating procedure, an SOP, but this is just for the bad things. Someone commits suicide, someone dies, an accident happens on the job. Like if it's a safety thing, you've got a bunch of safety stuff going on. You should have a safety manual, especially if you're a construction company or something like that that does more physical work and puts people in danger. Yes, your safety department is going to be there. But if you're in an office or something like that, and the most dangerous thing that happens each day is someone gets a paper cut. We're not in a safety mindset in an organization like that. Whereas a construction company, they live and die by safety, essentially, right? Like everything is safety. Everything is done right. Because when you look at the cost analysis of some organization either spending a couple $1,000s to be safe or dealing with a multi-million-dollar lawsuit, right? It's easier and better for the short term and the long term if you just spend a couple $1,000s on some safety stuff, right? To create that safe environment. But we're not thinking about that when it's just an office. And I know offices can register with WCB, but if it's not a dangerous place, basically you just get a pass, right? You don't pay any fees or anything like that, or you're just a free member, I think, basically. But it's an office. What could go wrong? Well, an employee could commit suicide, and you have mental health issues across the board, right? So finding that support and having that binder when bad things happen. And it's a cheat sheet. It's a terrible, terrible thing to think about. But it is something that we have to plan for. And if you think about it once and brainstorm on how we should handle a situation like this, it may not be exact every time, but it's going to give you a checklist of things that could be useful in this situation. When I was on the library board, we were creating our library board policies. So this was for our board, and this was in general on how the library operates. We had a discussion about natural disasters and things like that. And we decided to create a policy on what we would do or what the library would do in these different situations. And we were like, forest fire, flooding, snowstorms, power outages, water outages, tornadoes, everything we could think of. We ended up creating a bunch of policies. They were kind of short. They weren't that in depth, most of them, but we had thought about it and we put it into place. So it was something. There's a fire in the neighborhood or whatever. There's a forest fire coming. Like, what does the library do? Right? A lot of them were like, close the library and send everybody home. Right? But I think there was other situations where it's like the library would become a hub for the community and people could come there, right, to come out of the storm or whatever, right? So, not safety SOPs, bad things SOPs. My employees are always taking sick days. Well, if you have paid sick days are part of your employees' total compensation. So you are paying them, you are giving them free paid days off for sick days, you are giving them the free vacation or the vacation. Naturally, for all these things, you got to follow the legislation in your area, but you can always give more, right? If there's government legislation that says you must give six sick days each year, you could do 12. You can do whatever you want as long as you're meeting that minimum. I don't know why I'm burping like mad. I'm sorry, everyone. Tea's done. So, we give sick days, but then we get upset when people take them. Sick days are part of your total compensation. You are allowed to take them. And you don't have to be physically sick to take them. If you are having a mental health crisis or you're having a bad day, take your sick day. Use your sick day. There's this whole, you can't use your vacation time as sick days. I'm like, why would you make that rule? Just, it's part of their total compensation. Who cares when they take it off? You need to know that the amount of time that's legislated or you promised, and the sick days, the PTO time, any of that, you've got to know that eventually that's all going to be taken off, or you have to physically pay it out based on an hourly rate. So just consider it part of the total compensation and expect that you're not getting 365 days worth of work. Well, I think the average is 22. If we're talking about a weekly full-time employee, it's usually about 22 days a month times 12. So you're doing about 260 to 265 days a year with your vacation time and your sick days. I would say don't expect more than 240, 250 days a year of production of work from an employee, from any employee. Just be prepared for that and know that that's how things work. There is no need to get upset about employees taking sick days. Now, you can encourage people not to take sick days, and I don't mean something negative. You're not saying if you take all your sick days, you're gonna not get all the best shifts, or you won't get Christmas off or something. Don't do something negative. Do something positive. If you didn't use any of your sick days this month, your name gets put into a draw for XYZ prize at the end of the month, and it also goes into a yearly prize. I mean, and these are nice one-off simple expenses that a company can do. So the draw is, I don't know, a gift card to Tim's, $50 each month. And then at the end of the year, if you want to keep with gift cards, at the end of the year you give out a $500 gift card to Tim's, at the New Year's party or whatever, right? Like, encourage encourage them. If they have to take their sick days, that's fine. They just miss out on a draw, but they're not being penalized for taking something that is rightfully theirs to take. So deal with it, man. Don't be negative. There's no reason to be negative. Just suck it up. I think that's where, if your organization has difficulty, if a person is off a few extra days a year, then you've got some serious issues with how your organization is set up. Like, serious issues. So it's time to rethink how you are organized, how your organization makes its money, spends its money. We hear about big CEOs getting rid of overhead so they can improve their ratio and get a bonus. But by reducing all your internal supports and reducing your expenses, it really doesn't increase your revenue. So if you're a small business, that first employee, the next 5-10 employees should all be in a situation where they are making some sort of revenue, client-facing situations where the money is made, right? These are what you should be thinking about if you're getting a new employee. And if they miss a day of sales, oh well. With salespeople, you treat them a little differently. You say, this is your basic target you have to get to. If you're not getting to that, we might let you go. Okay, that's your minimum for your organization to survive with each new employee, basically, right? You got to get to that minimum. But then you have the bonus levels. If you can make this many sales or whatever, or handle this many customers or clients, right? That's where they get into a situation where they're making some sort of bonus. And because you're making so much extra revenue, you do have the ability to start giving out these one-time bonuses. So always think of your organization like that. The individual owner who's sitting there and thinking, oh, I just need someone to do a bunch of administrative work for me. Well, that's not going to improve your sales necessarily. If it frees up an amazing amount of time, so if you're spending half your time trying to get sales and customers and half the time just dealing with back-end marketing, whatever, right? Like, if it frees up at least 50% of your time so that you can just concentrate on making the money, then that might be useful. But I would still advise, get another salesperson and try to duplicate your sales process first. Then, once the new sales and the revenue increases, then consider that back-end employee that will help with other situations. It's just, if you don't have the revenue for your small business, then you can't do anything else. So revenue needs to be your goal for your small business. If you can make a sale, you have the ability to either, you as the owner, work late, work overtime, work weekends. That's great. If you can get another salesperson in there, then you got enough money that you could get an extra support. But always, every time something's happening in the organization, your first thought should be, how do we get more revenue? Whatever it is going on at the back end, your first thought should be, how do we get more revenue to support this need that the organization has? Oh yeah, been on for 1 hour. It's 12:32. Let's move to the new disciplinary process. Now, this is what I kind of base my everything on, right? Like, normally an organization, especially, the bare minimum for organizations that have to get safety certified through the core system or whatever, they have to have a 3-step disciplinary process as part of that. And that's pretty standard, right? You get first couple warnings, and then you might get fired on the third one or something like that, right? But I have switched this up, moved the onus onto the supervisors and the managers and the owners to say, oh, you didn't do something right. How can I support you? How can I train you? How can we prevent it next time? So you basically get 3 tries at the training and learning situation before you get into a disciplinary situation. And this, regardless of if the employee never improves, that employee should leave the organization saying, they tried really hard to train me up, but I couldn't get it. Right? Like, so when they go off to their next job, because you tried so hard to train them up, hopefully they're leaving not mad, and they actually appreciate what you did for them. So they'll go to another organization or talk to people, and they'll say, no, Ian, he did really great at trying to train me, but I just couldn't get that job, so I left. But I think you're smarter, and if you want a good place to go learn and train and get ahead in the industry, certainly go work for Ian, because he'll help train you up. Even if you can't get trained up and you leave in 6 months, you'll see what a real supervisor can do, right? Like, you want to be in that situation, and this is just constantly supporting your employees, and it leans heavily on the performance evaluations and the performance improvement process, right? The PIP, it always has a negative sounding when it really should be this positive thing. And so that's what this is about. Moving on. What is a good work environment? So I basically talk about all the stuff that's a good working environment in here, and I don't want to go over that. I'm actually bored of that. Let's not talk about that anymore. And of course, that leads into top ways to create a good work environment. So these are good tips. These are good tips in here. Oh, next page. Where's our next page? We're on page 4. I'm surprised I got like 6 pages of blogs done up. So the next process, we're kind of going backwards. So that's why I'm starting from the bottom. Easy employee review process. So this is what I talk about all the time. And more reviews, simple reviews. When you do a review, it should be short, it should be quick and dirty. It should, I just think about the crew boss or the foreman. Oh, yawning, sorry. Foreman sitting out in his truck on the job site, and he's like, oh, today, John, I'm reviewing him. John did a pretty good job since the last time I reviewed him. And it's 4 or 5 questions, and he's just rating them between 0 and 4, and then adding it up. And then he sends that away to HR. And HR keeps track of the numbers for all his employees. And if something's off, then HR comes back and says, hey, man, you got to go talk to John. His numbers have been going down for over the last 6 months. It's slowly getting worse. Find out what's going on and train them up, right? So easy employee reviews. Simple. You don't want your managers freaking out every year when it's review time, and they're like, it's going to take me like 2 weeks to get everyone reviewed. And it's just this stupid process. And nobody looks at those damn things until the next review period. Waste of time. Waste of time. So, how to create an easy employee evaluation. Basically, this blog just talks about what I just told you. How to create it, simple questions. How often should employees be evaluated? Well, the simple question is more often than you really think. Like, a supervisor that has 8 to 10 employees, they should review 1 employee a week. And then you'll get multiple employee reviews throughout the year. A new employee on probation should be reviewed at least weekly for the first 2.5 months to allow you to really see if they're learning during this probation period. So if they manage to get themselves up to a good level, like 75-80%, then you're probably going to keep them on. You're going to keep this employee past the 90-day, the probation period, right? But if you got someone who is stayed low, started low, stayed low, they're sitting at 40 to 60%, you might not keep them. You might say, we're letting you go because you didn't perform the way we'd hoped over this probation period. But you've also got the proof, the numbers of your reviews of these person, right? So at least in Alberta, you are legally able to let someone go within the probation period of 90 days without cause. You don't have to say why you're letting them go. But this process allows you, at least to be fair, you can see that someone is improving or not improving, and then it allows you to get the sense of being fair, right? Oh my. Oh, I love this. The hierarchy of employee needs. I think I want to go into this one. I want to talk about this one in a little more detail. This builds on my 3 circles a little bit, but you think about people in general and kind of the economy, they kind of all work the same way. And when I was in university, they talked about selling to the bottom of the pyramid or marketing to the bottom of the pyramid. And that's where It's low income people if you're thinking of the economy, and it's people that, have more basic needs. So it's very hard to say, let's sell Cartier watches to the bottom of the pyramid. Well, nobody down there can afford it. But the example they used in university was cell phones. In the Western world, we are terribly, terribly gouged by the tech companies for our cell phone services. Cell phones are expensive, our monthly plans are expensive and stupid, and kind of the only way you can get out of that is kind of having pay-as-you-go situation, right? And just being real scarce with the phone. But in large parts of Africa, the phone company said, we are selling to the bottom of the pyramid. And they make their phones and their phone services extremely cheap. And we saw an example where a woman in a small community in Africa saved up and bought a cell phone. And she got the cell phone. And it was cheap enough that she now turned it into a business so that the local people in her community could pay her something to use the cell phone to talk to whoever. And she was able to turn it into a business. But that's because the cell phone companies were able to just drop their prices and make it affordable for these people to connect. Oh. Sorry, I'm just yawning. Today it is cloudy, rainy, and gloomy, and I got the scary music playing, the Halloween music. So, hierarchy of needs. Here, you need to address basic needs like paying a living wage for your area, paying higher than industry standard wages, and automatically increasing wages with the cost of living each year. You need to address psychological needs of having good benefits, a good work environment, merit pay increases, and regular recognition at work. So these are number one was your basic needs. Number two is your, what I got, psychological needs. And number three is your self-fulfillment needs. So number three is you need to address self-fulfillment needs by offering internal promotions for career advancement, regular training, and least importantly, one-time bonuses or perks. If you're not solving all these other issues and thinking giving your one-time bonus is going to solve everything, you are very much wrong. One-time bonuses or perks are only good when your work environment is awesome already and everybody's happy, right? Paying a living wage. So you are looking for the local living wage in your area or the local living wage where your different offices or branch offices are located. You got to make sure everyone in those locations or everyone in the organization is making the minimum living wage across the country, right? So that if you have an employee transferring from this branch to that branch, from that province to this province, they are making the minimum that no matter where they live, they're covering their basic needs. If you pay anything less than a living wage, you're paying poverty wages, right? And that's where people have to get a second job, and they got to live in a house with 50 other people, and they're all sharing rent or whatever, right? These situations make it hard for them to concentrate and be a good employee when they're at your job, at your organization. Paying higher than industry standard, because if you can pay higher than the industry standard, you will be the go-to organization. Everybody is going to want to go work for you. So you're going to get the good employees applying for your jobs, right? And everybody in the organization is going to know that if they stay there long enough, they'll get to a better wage because you've proven that you pay it. Cost of living pay increases. This is a real safety issue, right? If you started off, you got a good starting wage, but wages never increase, well, cost of living happens, inflation happens. If you're not keeping up with that, your employees are going to start looking elsewhere. Because we know the best way to increase in this economy, in this world right now, the best way to increase your wages is to move to a new job in a different organization, because you negotiate up. You say, oh, I've got this many years over here, I want to come work for you, but I want to do it for this money. And someone transferring like that can increase their income like 30%, man. So how do you keep that person from jumping ship? Cost of living pay increases. If you have a pre-made wage chart, oh my god, pay grid. If you have a pre-made pay grid, so on the right side you have merit increases. If they're doing good, they get a pay raise, but every year they move the other direction. So this is this year, this is next year, this is the year after. You've adjusted for inflation. So each year they move right no matter what. So their wage always increases. And if it's someone in your organization that you don't plan on firing, they're not a rock star, but they're the backbone of your organization, that get the job done, or not rock star, not a bad employee, everyone deserves some sort of cost of living pay increase every year, even if it doesn't seem like they deserve a merit increase. Certainly a cost of living increase. Merit increases and cost of living increases are two different beasts, two different things. A merit increase, they go to your high performers, your good performers, your rock stars, and the yearly cost of living increase goes to everybody, right? If you are not planning on firing someone right away, they deserve a yearly pay increase at least. And you could split this up into two. So if the average inflation is 3%, I do a calculation that calculates over the last 5 years, and that'll be my next. Added up the last 5 years inflation divided by 5, that's what my next inflation cost of living increase will be. And you could split that up. So you could say every 6 months, every employee gets a cost of living increase, and they get 1.5% increase. Now, what's the psychological effect of this? Especially to an employee who's not a rock star. So they're not really earning the merit increases, but they get every 6 months, they know they're getting a a cost of living increase. They're going to stay with you, and they are going to work just as hard and maybe a little bit more than they did the last year. But the idea is they're still getting a pay increase. They're still getting that feeling that they are remembered, that they are liked and maybe loved in their organization, right? Who doesn't like to get a pay increase, even if it's only a cost of living increase? But 1.5% increase every 6 months, adding up to 3% a year, that's good. It's good for most people. It makes them happy. They know they're being respected, not forgotten. Because I've been in organizations where I didn't get a pay increase for like 3 years. I try to negotiate in guaranteed pay increases when I get a job, especially with a private company where you can negotiate a little bit more. And I know this one contract, I forgot to add a pay increase like every year. So he never increased my wages. He gave me my starting wage. And in the contract, we negotiated something I would get in like 6 months or something like that. And then after that, multiple years, I didn't get anything else because it wasn't in my contract. And I mean, I felt like no matter how hard I worked, I felt forgotten, even though I was the backbone of the organization and everybody kind of relied on me. But I ended up feeling bad. And yeah, I left the organization. If my boss had turned around and said, look, Ian, I'm just going to give you like even 1% every 6 months or something like that, like, it's not a whole lot, but it's enough for me to say, oh, he cares, so I'll stick around, right? And the psychological needs, good benefits, right? This is like the belongingness and the love, and you got to make sure, don't give benefit, like don't go into the second level of psychological needs before you handle the money side. You have to do something on the money side, because I mean, if you're paying $2 an hour, but you have great benefits, it doesn't mean anything. I am still looking for a new job. I am still needing to work an evening job. I'm still needing to work a weekend job. I'm still needing to do some sort of gig or side hustle. I still have to worry about not being able to pay my bills. I mean, yeah, I can go get a massage. I can get my meds covered. I can get my kids into proper health situations, right? Like, yes, the health benefits are important, but not as important as me getting paid. I can't turn a good health benefit into money to buy groceries, to pay for hockey equipment for my kids, to put them into this year's hockey, right? Good benefits does not equal healthy lifestyle without good pay. So if you're thinking you're going to get some health benefits for your organization, think again and say, have I handled the wage situation? Right? The money you're thinking of spending on benefits might be better suited to give everyone a raise. Right? And then moving forward, then you worry about, let's bring in good benefits. Right? Good work environment. So this is you trying to fix things, solving those staff problems. If again, if you don't have great pay and you have a toxic work environment, people are going to leave. Even if you fix a toxic workplace and it becomes the best place to work and everybody loves each other, without proper pay, you're in the same situation. Added benefits ain't gonna work, and I still gotta pay for groceries, even though I'm feeling loved and the work environment is awesome. You still gotta solve the pay issues. Why aren't you solving the pay issues? Trying to fix a toxic workplace without fixing wages first, it's hard. If you can fix wages, toxic work environments might take care of themselves. No guarantee it's going to be 100%, but it is going to be a situation that won't be as bad to deal with now that everyone is properly paid and has a guarantee that they will continue to stay above the cost of living with their life, right? So if I don't have to work a second job, if I don't have to work on weekends, if my kids get into hockey and I'm all happy at home with my home life because I can pay the bills, I can put, I can start saving for my kids' future, things like that, I'm not going to work grumpy anymore. I'm not the cause of the grumpiness and the toxicity in the organization anymore because my home life is now happy, right? But now that my home life is happy, I do now have that mental ability to work on my own toxicity at work and work with other people at work to make things better, right? I'm not, it's very hard to volunteer to do something when you're busy trying to work. So I'm going to do the bare minimum and worry about my life by getting extra jobs and stuff like that. If it's got a toxic workplace, whatever, like, I'm just dealing with it, right? So get that money. Get that money. Merit pay increases. Now, this is where, when we look at the pay grid, again, you have the yearly increases, the cost of living increase. Everybody gets this. And anyone you don't plan on firing is going to really appreciate that yearly increase, even though they're not rock stars. The merit increase, so they move down on the pay grid, they get more money. I mean, you set it up so that you have some sort of framework that would guarantee this merit increase. You need to really organize and say, you will get a merit increase when this thing happens. So if you're thinking of a salesperson, you need to stay at this certain sales level for 6 months or something like that. Then you'll get a merit increase, right? And then to get to the next merit level, they have to stay at that same level for like a year, or they need to bump up to the next level for another 6 months, right? Like, give them some basic thing. And this really could be something that you encourage. Say, if you don't take any sick days for the next year, I'm going to give you a merit pay increase, right? That's where you can encourage these things where you don't want people to take their sick days. So then you give them some bonus, some prize or whatever. Or if you can get this project done within a certain amount of time so that the client is super happy, then you'll get the merit pay increase, right? If you can get a certain amount of projects or tasks done within a certain amount of time, you'll get a merit pay increase, right? So you keep, this is how you improve your organization. Like, you've got everybody paid properly at their base wages, and now you're saying, we're improving this, right? You could say if the whole organization can get to this point, everybody gets a merit pay increase that's currently worked here for X amount of time, right? So you could really get some exciting things going with the merit pay increases. Naturally, this is where your rock stars are living. This is what your rock stars care about. They're getting their cost of living every year, but so if you got it every 6 months for cost of living, they move up like this. And your high performer can also, with like every 6 months to a year, move up like this. Like they can move diagonally across this pay grid and really make some nice money. Just remember, merit pay increases are permanent pay increases. So the base pay, the base load on your organization becomes higher. That liability, that base liability. So really give the merit pay increases where and when it is really deserved. And the simple employee evaluation form will help you do that. Because the form is set up, it's like a little bit of, if someone stays at this level for 6 months, give them a pay raise, right? Like it's kind of intuitive that you would have it set up. Recognition of good work. Of course, this is like some organizations think they can give recognition in place of good pay. Oh, you're doing great. Here's your little macaroni trophy thing, right? Like, woo, I'm doing good work, but I'm gonna have to go home and scrape this macaroni off to make supper, right? Like, you don't want to be in that situation. Other organizations don't want to recognize good work because they're scared that employee is going to ask for a raise. I mean, then you put them in a situation where they never feel appreciated. But you've got to find a way to do this once you handle pay, once you know exactly how people get merit increases, right? This recognition kind of goes hand in hand with the merit increase. Just remember, some people like private recognition, and some people like to have a big party in a public office celebration on their wins, right? So make sure you're not alienating your introverts who are your backbone, who work good. Oh, excuse me, now I'm burping. Anyway, so now we reach to the top of that pyramid. And it's the self-fulfillment. Like, we talk about high potential employees. These are your possible rock stars. So you need to spend some time supporting them. And we saw that. Did we see that one? We saw that blog post already. You need to make sure you support them. And these are the people that can take your organization to the next level. Internal promotions. The gold star is internal promotions. So the only people you should be hiring new in your organization should be the entry-level positions. And then everybody starts getting trained up to fill up organizations, the other spots as people leave or the organization grows, whatever situation you might be in. So it's important. And it should come with a pay raise or the ability to make bonuses, right? So this shows that you care about your employees, and when you talk about a family environment. I absolutely hate organizations that say they're family. I think it's a load of BS. But if they are really family organization, then they love their internal promotions and they do everything to internally promote everyone instead of bringing someone in from the outside. Regular training. So now you're at a point where, I mean, if you weren't paying me properly, I don't give a crap about your training or trying to advance myself, right? That's goes hand in hand with the internal promotion too. I just itchy. I wonder if this lip gloss has given me a reaction. Anyway, so regular training, and this like it totally benefits your organization if you can start cross-training people in different positions and doing stuff, because you're thinking about vacation days, personal time off, sick leave, whatever. If you have multiple people trained to do that task, that role, then you're always looking after yourself. So regular training, cross training to different spots. And I think if you can get people in your organization that are eager to learn, to grow, to change jobs, I mean, that's amazing. We do have some people who are like, no, I'm good here. I just want to do this. Well, that's fine, I guess, but make sure they are training somebody at all times, because one day they are going to leave. One day they are going to take a sick day, right? So regular training is so important. Whether it's me trying to improve my current role and I need to learn a new program so that the whole organization can learn the new program, and then we save money on the back end and have the ability to do more, to handle more clients, whatever, right? That's the regular training. It's the training. If you've been in a job more than 6 months and nobody's offered you a training opportunity, whether it's some outside workshop, some internal workshop, or some cross training with a different position, if you've gone 6 months with no training whatsoever, there's something wrong in your organization. Because if we become the narrow niche expert in what we do, I'm the only one who can do that job, you might think you're making yourself valuable, but you're not. You're limiting yourself. You want to be that expert jack of all trades that can cover for anyone in the organization at any time. That's the position you want. That's the mindset you want. Because we get into the silos and it's like these people are just an expert in this, and then you think, oh, I've got some bargaining power and the organization wouldn't dare let me go. There's a truck back up there. Epcor truck. They're doing some work in my alley, so every now and again they're blocking off our alley. There's one of those monstrosity 8-plexes going in a neighborhood. Whatever. So training. Make sure there's training, something going on in your organization. Now that you've solved all these other issues, now you're doing one-time bonuses or perks, right? And that's where my article, The Art of the Pizza Party, right? Too often, it's a cliche. Let's have pizza party. Let's have pizza party. Make everyone happy. I worked for Walmart for a whole week one time when I moved to the city in 2006 or 2007 or whatever. I moved to the city and I worked for Walmart for a whole week, and they started me at like $11 an hour or something. And I mean, they have really great training set up in the back, so you can't even use a box cutter knife until you've gone through that training. You can't even use a ladder until you've gone through that training. So in actuality, I think for a young new person, Walmart has some great training to show you these basic things. I mean, at the time, I was in my late 20s, and it's like, yeah, dude, I know how to use a ladder. I know safety around a ladder, right? But 16-year-old, 18-year-old, 20-year-old, they might not know how to use a ladder. They might not understand the needs of being safe on a ladder, right? But their perk, like, I think it was at least twice that week, they bought pizza for all the staff. So in the staff room in the back, it's actually a really big room. They had like 20 pizzas laid out, and the staff could eat the pizza. So it was, I don't know if it was a regular perk or whatnot, but I mean, the free pizza didn't prevent me from leaving that job after 1 week. The $12.50 I would be getting at the other job made me leave, right? Like, it wasn't the pizza, not even a thought in my head. Oh, I'm not going to get free pizza anymore. Oh, no, I should stay at the $11 an hour. And it was like, nope, $12.50, an extra $1.50 an hour. Yeah, I'm out of here, man. What was that? What is that? We go with $12.50 divided by $11. That is a 14% pay increase. I got myself a 14% pay increase by moving from Walmart to a video store. 15% pay increase. And I no longer got pizza at lunch as a perk. But, I mean, it wasn't important to me. Absolutely wasn't important to me. If Walmart was even giving me some sort of bonus for doing something, increasing revenue in my department, I was hired on as in the IT department, so I got to wear a white shirt and tie while I was at work, as opposed to everybody else. And of course, they never, because I'm a big guy, they never had a vest big enough for me for the week I was there. So some people didn't realize that I was working there. But one-time perks, man, they don't matter if you're not making regular payments, right? Like, it doesn't matter. They're not helpful until everything else is solved. So don't have that pizza party. You're crazy. Anyway, the hierarchy of employee needs, right? It's the same as Maslow's, very similar to Maslow's hierarchy of employee needs. And, sorry, burping. So I miss talking about this stuff with people. So thank you for putting up with me. But man, it is my live podcast. I can talk about what I want when I want. Obviously, I'm trying to attract certain types of people for different sorts of things. So I try to avoid saying moist as possible. Don't ask me any questions. We're done taking questions for this live. So I hope you got a little bit out of that. That was nice going into my old blog posts and kind of talking about those important topics. And I hope you were able to get the hierarchy of employee needs down. That's all in my blogs. You can go search for it. Where's that QR code? There's the QR code again for my blog. You can go in, search the blogs, and see if there's a topic in there that might give you some free information. The QR code up in the top corner of the screen, that's all my links. Go there if you want to connect with me somehow. And that will take you to linktr.ee/IanTheHRPro. That's my link tree list of important links. So I don't have to advertise 14 different links, but that's where you should go. What else should we talk about? I guess maybe next week we'll talk more about some blogs. I mean, it's good topics, so we can continue going that. As always, ask me a question in the comments. If you're watching this after the fact, go ahead and make a comment. I'll try to catch it, and we'll talk about it next live on the next podcast. So Mondays is human resources. We talk about everything human resources. Tuesdays is Indigenous allyship, Indigenous relationships, Indigenous EDI, anything Indigenous related, especially related to Indigenous business or Indigenous HR, right? We'll talk about all that. Wednesdays, we talk about side gigs, side hustles, aka small business marketing. So that actually gets kind of fun. I enjoy that day. I enjoy Wednesdays. And Thursdays, it's Career Club. We talk about resumes, cover letters, job hunts, whatever. Sometimes we end up talking about side gigs and side hustles a little bit too, so it kind of melds in. But if you want to talk about career stuff, you can advance your career, maybe you're looking for a new job, let's, come on the show, let's talk about it, or just make a comment and we'll talk about it. Fridays is fun and games. I talk about anything and everything: board games, Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering, popular culture, books, movies, music, whatever I want to talk about. That's my creative outlet, maybe. But if you have a game store or something like that and you want to come on the show, let's get on the show. But we have I have a very varied week, different topics. I could accommodate any person that runs any sort of business on the show. We just kind of pick the day you want to be on. I can have you up here. We can talk questions. That's fine. Talk questions. We can talk and answer questions together. I mean, yeah, we'll pick a show. Come on the show. I'm not scared. I might be a little scared, but anyway. What else do we got? It's Halloween week, so I'm gonna keep my Halloween font and my Halloween scary music playing all week for show. Yeah. And I think that's it, everybody. Hope everyone has a good day. We were on for an hour and 48 minutes. Okay. Talk to you later. I'm shutting this down.